I am in desperate need of some long sleeve blouses, and I thought it would be fun this week to challenge myself and see how many I can make. If you're new here, hi, I'm Olga, and I make sewing content that is usually vintage inspired and sometimes a little bit nerdy. So I have gone ahead and pulled some fabrics from my stash that I think could work for this. Option one is this pink broadcloth. If you remember, I used this for the lining or like interlining, I guess, of my birthday dress. Option two is actually this brown check flannel that I used to make these Nasrin pants. I think I have just under a meter of this, so I'm not sure if it's like quite enough to make it. Option three is this really fun print. This is a cotton sateen from Minerva. I made this set of pajamas earlier this year from this fabric, so I still have a bit left over. And option number four is this fabric right here. I believe this is a poly cotton, although I haven't done a burn test. This is secondhand, and I have had this in my stash for a very long time. I was thinking actually of using Vogue 8772, and I have used this pattern I think 3 times already. I made this blouse with it and this other blouse with it, and I also made this other blouse with it. So I have made quite a few, and they're all really dramatically different from each other. I think using the same pattern is going to be really helpful here because batch sewing means you're going to be doing the same thing over and over. And if I have to constantly switch between patterns and stuff, I think that's really going to slow me down. So I think being able to do pretty much everything the same is going to help me make more things in one go. It is now 6 p.m., so I'm not going to start this right now. I'm probably going to start maybe tomorrow. Let's see how this goes. I'll see you tomorrow for day one. Oh my god, it's really raining. Well, it's day one. It's now 20 to 4 in the afternoon. Hopefully I can do all of the cutting and start at least on the marking of everything today. Today we're working from the floor over here. First I'm gonna just wipe the floor because there's lots of black hairs on it. I wonder where those came from. Okay, let's start with an easy one. My arm hurts. I don't know if you can see on camera. Right there. I have a huge bruise there. I had blood work done yesterday. Everything's fine. It's just like, you know, my usual blood work, and I had some for allergy testing. We already know what I'm allergic to, but we're doing like quantifying how allergic I am to things to see if I'm gonna do like a vaccine to desensitize my body to the allergens. Apparently that's a thing that exists now. So, and as always, you can never like find a vein. I end up with huge bruises on my arm. Zeus is having a dream. So this stuff I don't need. Okay, so these are the pieces I need. I don't know. We're gonna have to see with the brown. Drew blood. Freaking. Little tip for you. If you're anything like me and you prick yourself a lot, the enzymes in your saliva break down the blood or whatever, and the stain comes out. It depends on the fabric and stuff like that, but it does work. I don't think it's gonna happen.
already so tired. Oh, definitely didn't have enough fabric for the brown, which was a bummer. That was one of the ones I was really excited about. I don't know how you guys that regularly cut on the floor do it, because this is such a painful situation. All right, day 2. I did not get enough marking done yesterday. I think I did the fronts of the pink and the blue floral one. I'm marking notches mostly, but I'm also doing like the darts and all of that. So it's important to have that information on there. I'm also going ahead and pinning the darts while I'm at it. That's my update for now. I'm quite tired today, so I don't know how far I'm gonna get with this. Hopefully I'll get everything marked today, and then maybe I'll get started on sewing.
Hello, this is a terrible angle. I know I'm supposed to be like sewing. It's been raining a lot lately, so Zeus has a lot of pent up energy and he needs to go on a big walk. And I need to buy him some things from the pant store. So we're walking there. It's probably like a 20-minute walk. So he'll get some exercise and he'll get to see a place he doesn't usually go to. I think it'll be nice for me to get out of the house. So yeah, I guess that's my update. I have finished all of the marking on the fabric, but I'm supposed to be sewing now. My partner needs the office. I needed to kind of get out of the house a little bit today, so that's what we're doing. We're going on a little exploration. Yeah, we're going to the pet store. Yay, good boy. I don't have any more treats right now. Careful with your foot.
This is not going according to my plan. I had the idea to make this video. I thought it'd be so much fun to like sew against the clock. And then it proceeded to have 2 days in a row where I'm just feeling like, eh. Today is Saturday. It is now like 4:30 in the afternoon. So what's happening right now in my life is that I'm experiencing one of my allergy seasons. Most people will know about like allergy season being in spring, and that's one of them. If you're allergic to pollen, that is your allergy season. And I'm also allergic to pollen. We also have allergy season in autumn, which is when the dust mites and all the other kinds of mites are reproducing. I'm allergic to the vast majority of the ones available that exist in this area of the world. Usually it's not that bad because I have been on like medication for my allergies for a long time. And then this summer I ran out of prescription and I was like, it'll be fine. It's just a couple of months. It's not going to be a big deal. And it turns out it is kind of a big deal to go off your medication when you have allergies like me. At the time, it wasn't that bad. Like my nose was stuffier than usual, but it was okay. Now that it is allergy season, my body is less ready to deal with it. It's not that bad. It's just mostly like I have a really stuffy nose. I am itchy inside and out a lot of the time. Yeah, it's just a little bit harder to breathe, which means mostly that it's a little bit harder to sleep, which means that I'm a little bit more tired than usual. That's what all of this comes down to. It's just, even though I am sleeping fine, I wake up and I feel like I didn't sleep because I just have a hard time breathing. I do have everything ready to sew and to interface, but I think I'm gonna start sewing first, and then when I need to turn on the iron, I will, and I'll interface everything that I have to interface. One thing I'm thinking about is the thread, because I just realized yesterday all the fabrics are kind of different from each other and there's not really one color that would go well with everything. My options are to either use the same thread and some of the fabrics is not going to match as well, and the other option is to change thread, and I don't think that's the option I'm going to go with. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with just sew everything with white thread.
I started with adding all the gathering stitches to the sleeve caps. Then I stitched down the darts on the fronts and back pieces. There's 2 darts on each front piece and 4 darts on each back piece, so I made a total of 24 darts here. Once I had all of those darts pressed and all of my pieces interfaced, I moved on to the next batch of things, starting with adding the slash to the bottom of the sleeves and pinning the respective binding in place. And of course, doing that for all 6 sleeves. I pinned all the collars along the outer edges. I also pinned all the fronts to their respective back pieces to form my bodices. Then I stitched all of those seams in place. After that, I trimmed the seam allowances of the bodice seams and zigzagged them on the machine to finish the edges.
It's 6:15 now, so I've been sewing for just under 2 hours, and I got a lot done, I think, today. When I was pressing things, I was like, oh my gosh, this is taking so long, and then something clicked in my brain, which was like, yeah, usually making a blouse is quite quick, so yeah, making 3 blouses won't take that long, but also it's going to take 3 times as long as making 1 blouse because you're making 3 of them. Everything is taking 3 times as long, which is exactly how it felt. And that makes sense because I'm making 3 blouses at once. Hello, it's now Sunday. It is 2:15 in the afternoon. Feeling a lot better today than I was yesterday. So I'm gonna get started with pressing all of the things that I needed to press yesterday. Finished putting the collars together today. and also finish putting the sleeves together, and then hopefully I can get to the point where I'm attaching everything to each other today, but if not, then do that tomorrow and then finishing touches. I still need to pick out some buttons for each of these.
I started with pressing the button plackets into position on all of the front pieces using the markings I had on there. This pattern just has you fold and press the placket back twice, which is super easy and gets you a really nice finish. I also pressed the side and shoulder seams on all the bodices. Next, I pressed all the collars flat after trimming the seam allowances and flipping them right side out. And then I started pressing the binding on the sleeves. Basically, I start by pressing the seam allowance towards the binding, and then I press the remaining binding edge in along the seam allowance. And finally, I press the binding in half over the seam, which should encase the raw edge and just about cover the stitching line. Before I do anything else, I'm going to add my tags to all the stand collar facings. Then I move on to prepping the next batch of things, starting with the collars. I pinned each collar to its respective stand collar pieces, matching the interfaced and non-interfaced sides and lining up the notches. I top stitched the binding on the sleeves, and then I stitched the collars to the stand collars. Finally, I trimmed the seam allowance on the stand collars.
Hello, good morning. It is now the next day. I did not do my thermometer work yesterday. Yeah, today I think I'm gonna try and finish these. So here is the plan. I'm going to start pinning the collars to the bodices. I have all my collars here ready to go. Cuffs to the sleeves, finishing up the cuff and all of that, and then adding sleeves to blouses, then being done, hopefully.
I continued sewing away all those seams, adding the collars to the bodices, and closing up my sleeves. And I can add all the aesthetic footage I want. The reality of sewing is this: a look of absolute concentration that could even be mistaken for anger while hunched over the sewing machine. Anyway, next I trimmed all those seam allowances. And before pressing the seams, I zigzagged the edges of the sleeve side seams too. Once all that was pressed, I pinned the collar facings in place with the folded edge covering up the seam, making sure that all the raw edges are enclosed. I'll sew that down by hand later. Oh, and if you want more step-by-step videos of how to sew these blouses, you can check out the one I made for my Hogwarts Legacy inspired uniform. I'll link that in a card. Moving on to the cuffs, I started pinning each cuff to its respective sleeve with right sides together, matching the notches. After I stitched them in place, I actually trimmed the seam allowances and pinned the cuff closed, folding it in half with right sides together so that I could stitch the sides closed too. Once I trimmed those seam allowances, I flipped the cuffs right side out and pressed them. Then, just like I did with the stand collar facings, I pinned the inside edge over the stitching line of the cuff to sew it down by hand. Then it was time to do all the hand sewing, so I got my thread wax and my needle and set to work. Finally, it's time to set my sleeves in, so I started pinning each sleeve in its place, making sure to match the notches. As always, instead of easing in the sleeve, I am pulling all of the gathering up into the shoulder to add a fun little detail. Now I can sew them in place, trim the seam allowance, finish the raw edges with a zigzag stitch, and then press them towards the sleeves. finish off the hem, first I flipped the front facing to the outside, stitched it along the seam allowance, and then I flipped it back to the inside. Then I folded up and pressed the hem twice to encase the raw edges, and I top stitched it on the machine. Once I added all the buttons and buttonholes, I was ready for the reveal.
Well, that is it for this video. This was a funny experience because the work was very repetitive and very like familiar to me. There was always, it was all things that I already done before and that I know how to do. So the work itself wasn't challenging. Like the sewing itself wasn't challenging. What was challenging was kind of more of like a test to my patience of repetitiveness and doing the same thing over and over, like sewing I guess 3 garments that are exactly the same in a very short span of time, or like all in a row. Like I don't mind sewing the same dress, but I like to make alterations. I like to change up the fabrics. I like to change up maybe the neckline. Like I'll always change something up or add something, or maybe I'll do it quite far apart, so it doesn't feel like I'm always doing the same thing. But it's very interesting because at the same time I like really repetitive type of crafts. Like I like knitting and I like crochet and embroidery, which is basically like doing the same movement over and over, but you're creating different things. And I think that's what I like about sewing as well, is that you're doing the same things, it's always the same steps, but you're creating different, you're using them in different ways to make different things at the end of the day. And I think the end result being different is what keeps it fresh and interesting to me. So when I'm doing the same steps for the same result, it feels boring. And the truth is that now that I actually have all of these blouses, I'm really excited to wear them. I think my favorite, I don't know, it's hard to choose because I really do like all of them. I didn't think I was gonna like this one, but I really do. I think it's really cute. I think the one I'm gonna wear the most is probably the pink because it will go with the most things because it's plain. I don't really have that much to say. Like the pattern is fine. I've used it a bunch of times before, so there's not really anything to say on that. The only other thing I really want to mention is just that this fabric for this blouse, I have no idea what fabric this is. I said at the start that I think maybe it's like a poly cotton. I don't think that anymore. I think it's probably like poly viscose or something, some kind of blend that is weird. It doesn't really wrinkle all that much, and it has like that, feels a bit like polyester, but it also was really sticky with the iron. Like it really wanted to stick to the iron, which is really weird because none of the others, and I was like ironing them all in a row, and the other two, like the iron just like glided over, and this one it would want to stick. And I don't know what that is, but the only thing I can think of is that the fiber is the fiber, right? Because the other ones are 100% cotton. So this can't be cotton. It has to be something else for it to be behaving that way. And usually poly cottons don't stick to the iron, like not in my experience. So I have no idea what this is. We'll see what I get up to next week. I still haven't decided, so I should probably go think about that. But yeah, now I'm gonna go finish editing this video and stop talking. Oh, I think we're about to get a visitor. Hi, buddy. Hi. Oh, am I? Oh yeah, we're currently stealing his little sun puddle. So where you're standing, where the tripod is his like sunspot right now. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, maybe give it a like. Welcome to all of the new people around here. I really appreciate you for being here. But I can't leave now. Okay, we'll do a little bit more cuddling then. And also, if you're not already, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I do post on there pretty much every day. That's it. Thank you for watching and happy sewing. One hug.